Hello everyone, I'm the Waifu Connoisseur, and welcome back to another Arknights Endfield guide video. In this video, I will be explaining how the factory building system works in Endfield, and then providing a quick example of a factory line to hopefully make it easier to understand. We will also briefly talk about the blueprints and some other resources relating to the factory system. Before we begin, keep in mind that the information provided in this video is taken from the most recent beta test, and everything is subject to change. Before you start building your factories, there are two terminologies that Endfield throws at you relating to the factory system that will come up multiple times throughout your playthrough. Those two terms are Automated Industry Complex and Protocol Anchored Core, both shortened to AIC and PAC or PAC for short. And to keep it simple, AIC is the lore accurate term used for the factory building system in Endfield, and PAC is what you use to build your factories. The factory system is a core mechanic of the game and where you'll be spending a good chunk of your time in when you are not occupied with a story or the combat. The factory system in Endfield may seem complicated and daunting at first, but trust me, it is not that hard to understand. If you have ever played any base building game before, like Satisfactory or Factorio, then Endfield's factory system should be easy to understand. And if you have never touched a base building game in your life, but have played games with a multi-step crafting system, like Minecraft or Atelier, then Endfield should not be too hard to learn. The factory system in Endfield is simple, with most items needing two lines of facilities that converge into one big facility to create whatever you need. The main uses of the factories are to create resources needed to craft gear, trade goods, healing items, batteries to power your facilities, and crafting materials needed for stuff like turrets or zip lines. You will also unlock tutorials that teach you step by step how to make simple facility lines to create these resources, and after completing them, you also unlock their respective blueprints. And before we continue, I want to take this time to warn you guys that you will have to interact with the factory system to a certain extent, and it is not something you can just completely ignore throughout your playthrough. I know some players just want to play Endfield for the story and combat, and may be a little disappointed to hear that the factory system is not completely optional. But do not worry, Hypergraph has done a couple things to make the factory system more player-friendly, like adding blueprints and an extensive in-game database. Before unlocking the blueprints, you do have to play the game a little bit, and during that time you will be interacting with the factory at a beginner level. And like I mentioned earlier, you need to complete a tutorial before unlocking a factory line's blueprints. Thankfully, you do unlock the ability to copy other players' blueprints after you complete your first blueprint tutorial. There is also a very useful in-game resource called the Endfield database. In there, you can find a complete list of facilities and items you can create, but most importantly, you can view an entire production chain for any item you need. You also have the ability to pin whatever item you want to make, and it will display on the top right corner of your screen. You can even click on the prerequisite materials in your pinned item box, and display the production chain for those items. There is also a way for you to view your resource income and resource usage, so you can have an easier time tracking what comes in and out of your factories. The addition of blueprints and the database should give you guys an easier time with the factory system, but I also want to provide you guys some examples of factory lines to hopefully make it more understandable. At the start of the game, the main way you'll be collecting materials is to either pick them up or attacking certain interactable objects that will drop resources when destroyed. The main materials you'll be collecting for your factories are flora and ores. We will mainly be talking about ores during this part of the video, 3 of which exist in the game currently: originium, amethyst, and ferrium. All 3 types of ores are spread throughout the maps around the world, and different facilities or different things you want to make use different types of ores, and they also mix and match with each other as well. At first you will have to actively attack the ores at mining spots to collect them, but will quickly unlock the ability to set up mining rigs for passive collection. You will also need to power up these mining rigs using electric pylons or relay towers, which then connects back to the PAC. We are now ready to start up our factories. We will begin this showcase with the simplest and the first facility you make in Arknights Endfield, the refining unit. We will be making Origo Crust, a product that is frequently used to make other products. All it takes is putting down a refining unit, changing the PAC output to originium, connecting them together with conveyor belts, powering it up with an electric pylon, and then you are done. An important thing to remember is that your facilities need power to function. Every facility uses a certain amount of power, and you can increase your power usage cap with batteries. The next thing we will build is an amethyst component line to showcase how two separate facility lines can go into a bigger facility to create manufactured goods. This line consists of originium ore being refined into a real crust and amethyst ore being refined into amethyst fiber. Components are needed to craft your gear, and there are different components that correspond to the rarity of gear you are trying to create, with higher rarity gear requiring longer factory lines. The next factory line we will be creating is a Tier 1 battery line. This line consists of originium ore going into a shredding unit to create originium powder, and amethyst ore being refined into amethyst fiber again. But this time we will be putting amethyst fiber into a fitting unit to create amethyst parts, before connecting both the powder and parts line together in a packaging unit. Just like the components, batteries come in different rarities, with higher rarity batteries needing longer factory lines. One reason why I picked batteries as a showcase is because you can see that to produce one battery, I need 5 amethyst parts, and 10 originium powder every 10 seconds. Meaning, I need 2 lines of originium powders to have efficient battery productions. And with that, I have covered everything that I want to talk about in this video. There are still a lot of stuff that I can do when it comes to the factory system, but I really wanted this video to be a simple introduction to the factory system for people who are scared or confused by it. Personally, I think the game does a great job at leading you into the factory system, and I feel like if I were to talk too much about it or go too in depth about it, it would just be an overload of information that would probably do more harm than good. Also, remember that after setting up your factories correctly, and it starts passively making stuff, you are essentially done with it, and can just let it do its own thing while you are away doing other stuff. If there are any questions or confusion regarding the factory system, I would love to answer them in the comment section below. If you like this video or find yourself coming back to my channel, why not subscribe and like the video? I hope you enjoyed this video or found it useful. As always, I will see you guys next time.